2023 has been a great year for extraction shooters. We've had Call of Duty's DMZ... Wait a second, that got canceled? Okay, well at least we've been able to play Battlefield's Hazards... and that one actually died last year? Okay, at least we have Marauders, which is still going strong, right? Oh, all right. Okay, so 2023 has actually been horrible for extraction shooters, and that's kind of the reason when I first saw the initial announcement tweet for Gray Zone Warfare, I really didn't think much of it. A lot of people have compared this to a Ghost Recon Wildlands meets Escape from Tarkov type game, and well, let's be honest, we've all heard that before, so I initially panned on this, but over the course of the last month, I've been able to learn a little bit more about the game and even had a one-on-one conversation with the game's community manager. I think it's important to tell you guys right now that this video is not sponsored. I'm not being paid or influenced in any way to make content on this game, but I've got to say, this is a lot more interesting than I initially thought. There's a lot more depth in this game, and I actually think you should be paying attention to it. Gray Zone Warfare just dropped its second trailer this past week at the PC Gaming Show, and with this new footage, plus everything I learned straight from the studio themselves, I think this might be something special, and to prove it, I'll start off by saying that this isn't your typical drop-in, loot, and get-out game. No, instead, there is going to be 3 factions that you can choose to join, and your experience will be fighting it out and progressing over an enormous, persistent map. Yes, it's going to be a 24/7 online persistent game against 2 other enemy factions, and that alone makes me more inclined to try this game than any other type of tactical shooter I've seen over the past few months. Now, I don't know if I'm going to date myself by saying this here, but if anyone was fortunate enough to play the old PlayStation 3 game MAG, that threw you into a massive online battle where 3 separate factions fought it out to win, and honestly was one of the best multiplayer PlayStation games I've played. The dynamics of having 2 enemy groups fighting both you and themselves at one time really should not be understated. It makes for a much more interesting gameplay dynamic, and when it comes to Gray Zone Warfare, it's going to add a new level of strategy to this massive persistent world the devs are planning. Talking with the community manager, Gray Zone Warfare really doesn't sound like an Escape from Tarkov clone, and that is really not a bad thing. Yes, there are some things that look like Tarkov, like the menus and the looting and the inventory, but the gameplay loop is going to be very, very different. Not only will you be having this persistent world instead of the menu simulator that Tarkov has, you'll be doing a lot of PvE. Think of it like a PvE VP game. Emphasis on the E. You'll be interacting with quest givers or friendly base NPCs while also fighting enemy AI to complete whatever objective you want. However, due to the sandbox nature of the game, of course you're going to run into other players. You can choose to work together with the other factions at times, try and bait them or maybe betray them, or simply try and ruin their day as they run around the map. You do you, it's a sandbox and nobody's going to tell you how to play. The map itself also feels very different from other games in this niche. We don't know the backstory, but the devs themselves have actually held a vote so everyone could choose what the devs would talk about next, and lo and behold, the lore of the game was selected. So hopefully we get to learn a bit more soon, but we do know this is a tropical Southeast Asian island. To me, this is much more appealing than the overused, drab Eastern European landscapes that we're used to with these types of games. So right out the gate, tropical landscape, persistent world, 3 factions, yes, yes, and yes. Looking at the newest trailer, we also get a little bit better look at the gameplay loop itself. You have a base where players leave from, you have the objective area where they're fighting through, and then you also have a helicopter extract. It all looks pretty smooth, animations, the weapons, combat, all that looks really just good enough for me at this stage of the early development. But what really caught my eye was this page here. This is the looting inventory area. At the bottom we have player status bars, and you can see an intoxication and radiation level spot. Now I know you can eat food since we can see that in the inventory, and there's even a clip of your character chomping on an energy bar, but I'm wondering if you can actually get drunk in this game if you start swigging vodka, or maybe intoxication can even indicate a type of poison or something. Additionally, radiation might imply that there's some sort of nuclear event which occurred on the island, and that might be why your PMC is here. We don't know, but these additional stats show to me that there could be quite a lot of depth in the type of quests or objectives you have to complete, instead of the basic and repetitive kill X amount of enemies. From the Steam page, they reiterate it's going to have an engaging storyline with missions. You have a colorful cast of characters, each with their own secrets and agendas, and you have to navigate the web of lies to decide who you can trust and expose the truth. Nothing is black and white, only different shades of gray. Hey, it's like the name, Gray Zone Warfare, right? Jokes aside, this is cool. I like when I can actually enjoy the world and I want to learn more about the story I'm in. If I'm just given a blank slate and an island that I just shoot bad guys and try to collect loot, I start to stop caring about it. But if there is a story that I can learn more and try to progress through, I'm more inclined to keep coming back to it, especially if there's two other factions that are doing their own separate things that might impact what my story is. This part of storytelling and immersion is part of games that I think a lot of devs miss, so the fact that they not only included this blurb, but they even added a vote where players themselves said, hey, tell us the lore, is a huge green flag for me, and I want to learn more. Now, some of the things that we could have learned from this vote, and what more than likely the devs will talk about soon, are things like the realistic ballistic system, external and terminal ballistics, including cavities and damaging organs, weapon modification, including weapon parts, stats, and bonuses, an intuitive health system with body parts or organs, pools, effects, statuses, injuries, healing, death, coma, stamina, eating, drinking, etc. The recoil system, how it works, what is affecting it, controlling, zeroing, and maybe more. All I can say is that this is a lot of detail, and especially when I look at something like a coma setting, I wouldn't be surprised if you could actually maybe revive your friendly players, get them out of a coma, get them evac, stuff like that. It just is creating a very in-depth gameplay loop that, yeah, might seem very lofty to achieve, but I'm kind of on board for whatever they're designing right now. It's all looking cool if they can execute it. This type of immersion plus a tactical FPS gameplay and the potential to lose everything when you deploy, that for me makes a very, very intriguing game, and I want to see where this goes. Everything that I've seen from this trailer, that I've read on Steam, on the Discord, and heard from the community manager himself just reinforces to me that the devs are trying to make a much more unique and much more replayable experience than many people might have thought just by looking at these trailers. If you were like me and admittedly rolled your eyes at this game when it was announced a few weeks ago, I'd strongly recommend keeping this one bookmarked. I'm not a huge PvE fan when it comes to tactical shooters, but if I'm excited about this game, that should tell you that there's something special, or potential to be special. Hey, you know, it's still being made, it's still being developed, but I can tell you right now, I'm excited. But what do you guys think? Are you also excited about Gray Zone Warfare? Does it offer enough to separate itself from all the other tactical or extraction shooters out there? And is there any other info you might need before you can actually buy in and get excited about the game? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more. But that's it for me. I'll see you guys in the next one. Until then, peace.